aimed at giving you all the latest and greatest information as far as the world of digital marketing is concerned, getting you up to speed on all the information, all the relevant news that you should be aware of. And as usual, I'm joined by Armando Alas.
Good morning, everyone. Definitely glad to be here today. Have a good webinar set up for everybody at WSI. I'm sure ICs are being kept busy today, or with the World Cup around and the USA winning last night. They say 3 times the lucky charm, so they finally beat Ghana yesterday. So I'm sure there's a lot of happiness with all the football or soccer fans in the US.
All right, yeah, that's right. Shocker with Portugal and Germany. I mean, they just killed them 4-0. That was a pretty interesting game there. Yep, so we're going to be following our usual format. So we'll start off with the latest news and articles that we'll be covering in our webinar. And then Armando has a really cool case study lined up for this week. We just completed a responsive web design project for one of the ICs. And, it was a large corporation. And there was sort of a technically challenging project because there's a whole a lot of different moving parts to this project, and the client was also very demanding because they had a certain vision for how the responsive website would be looking. So Armando's going to go through a lot more extensively in his case study slide, but it's a fantastic case study for any of the ICs that either want to pitch responsive web design to their prospects or want to learn more about responsive web design and how it looks. So Armando is going to be covering that today. And then we have a pretty exciting tool that we'll be reviewing in our Tool of the Week section. We are actually going to be looking at a lot of services and a lot of tools in particular that Google offers through their Think with Google platform. And we wanted to review that whole platform because it's a really powerful platform. There's a lot of information over there. There's a lot of great tools that are out there that are available for our use, putting out some great data information that we can use for either our clients or our prospects. So we'd be covering that in the Tool of the Week review section. And then we'd be finishing off with questions in the end. So we'd be addressing any questions that you have. One sec here. The computer is just adjusting itself. Okay, great. We're all set. Okay, so let's start with our first news item of the week. So for anybody that's, and again, we don't wish this on anyone that you actually get a Google penalty, and luckily, knock on wood, none of our clients have ever seen this dreaded notice. But if you do ever get a Google penalty or your client site has been impacted by this, Google's making the whole process a little more transparent of what they want you to fix as far as your website is concerned. So, as you know, Penguin, Panda, and all these different updates that have happened, in your Google Webmaster Tools, if your site has been impacted, then when you log into your Google Webmaster Tools console, then you'll see a message from Google saying that your site has been impacted by Google, et cetera, so go ahead and fix it. So then what you do is you actually put in a reconsideration request. So if it's links that you've cleaned up, if it's your content that you've cleaned up based on what you think it impacted your website, then what you do is you actually go in and then you resubmit your website to Google, whether you utilize a disavow tool or whichever tool that you're utilizing, you put in a reconsideration request, right? So as to have Google review your site once again and then rank appropriately for what your site is valued at. So what they've now done is that initially when you put in a reconsideration request, or when you are receiving when you are putting in a reconsideration, you get feedback from Google. All right. So like the feedback would be something very similar to the screenshot that we have on our slide deck right now. It says Google has received a reconsideration request from so-and-so site owner. We've reviewed the links to your site, and we still believe that there are some that are outside of our quality guidelines. Please correct or remove all inorganic links not limited to samples provided above. This may involve contacting webmasters of the site with the inorganic links on them. If the links to your site cannot be removed, you can use the disavow tool. Keep in mind that simply disavowing the links will not be enough to make a reconsideration request successful. We also need to see good faith efforts to remove a large portion of organic links from the website wherever possible. Okay? So this is the kind of message that you are getting in in the past when it came to reconsideration requests. So that's how Google was informing you of how your website was standing as far as the cleanup process was concerned. Now that was it. You just had that information to go with, and then if you put in a reconsideration and if Google felt that you hadn't done a good job, then they basically just send you this message. So the new addition now is a note from your reviewer. So this section at the bottom that you see, a note from your reviewer, and in this case, what it's saying is that you check the canonical version of your site to see more link data in your Webmaster Tools account when you're auditing your links. And this means your www and the non-www version for your website. So this note from the reviewer section is additional to what was happening in the past. In the past, you would not have the note from the reviewer. So what Google's trying to do is that they've actually they're showing you a little bit of more love and care, I'd say, in terms of giving you a lot more guidance on how to fix up your website and some of the issues that they're still seeing with your website. And this gives you a better chance of, instead of flying blind when you're getting a message like this from Google, you actually are more targeted in terms of what Google's looking for in terms of you to fix on your website. So this is definitely a huge, huge bonus for all of the sites that are doing reconsideration requests, because now if Google does not accept your reconsideration and they say that you still need to fix your website, they're actually giving you a lot more information. And it started to become a little more personal as well. So you know that there's not a machine out there that's actually just spitting out this information. There's somebody manually that's actually looking at the website and seeing if it's fixed the criteria or is it still spammy. And that's where the note from your reviewer comes in at the bottom. So it's definitely helpful from a perspective of a site that's desperately trying to clean out its act in order to get this extra feedback as a note from the reviewer. That's now being displayed in the back end in your Google Webmaster Tools. So that was a new addition that Google's done, which I think is a great, great addition because it definitely helps the sites that are trying to clean up their act and submit their reconsideration request and get ranked once again. All right, so moving on to our next news item of the week. There's a great article on Moz that summarizes what Panda, Penguin, and Hummingbird are all about. So if any of the ICs are waking up now and they have no idea as to what Panda, Penguin, and Hummingbird is all about, then this is the first article that I actually have them read because it's a fantastic summary of what these three updates were all about and what you need to do in order to fix fix things on your website if your site has been impacted by any of these three updates. So let's take a quick look at this particular article. It's written by Marie Haynes and it's posted on the Moz blog, and it's really, really nicely laid out. So she starts off by talking about what an algorithm change is. So it gives you a good idea of the algorithm change. Goes on to talk about the Panda algorithm, the fact that it was launched on the 23rd of February 2011. And initially when Panda was launched, a lot of people thought that this was to do with backlink quality. As a matter of fact, Panda was not about links, it was more about content. And then she points out to a blog post by a Google employee that actually gives you a checklist to determine if your site is a high quality site in terms of content or not. And there's this whole checklist. There's about 25 questions here that you need to answer. So if you ever suspect that your site has been penalized by Panda, and there's a lot of tools out there that you can see in terms of timeline to really check if your site was impacted by Panda or not, and running through this checklist is a really, really good starting point to understand what kind of content you have in your website. Questions like, would you trust the information presented in the article? Is the article written by an expert? Do you have duplicate content? Do you have spelling errors? How much quality control is done on the content? Is the site a recognized authority on the topic? Does it contain an insightful analysis? Now, you won't be saying yes to a lot, like to every single question out there, but I mean, if the majority of your answers are yes to this checklist that is being created by the Google employee, then you're kind of like in safe hands. So it talks about the content best practices checklist. It talks about thin content and duplicate content, how that can impact your website. So this is all to do with Panda. And it also talks about how to recover from a Panda hit. As it mentions, Google refreshes the Panda algorithm approximately every month. So it's giving you a lot of opportunity to recover if you've been hit by Panda, right? And it also gives you milestones as far as the Panda update was concerned. So as you can see, you had November 21, which was the Panda update, then March, June, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives you milestones that you can check whether your site's been impacted by Panda or not, and then gives you suggestions on how to recover from a Panda hit, which essentially revolve around removing thin or duplicate content, taking out articles that are really poorly written, are bad quality articles, so you can kind of remove them from your website or strengthen them, have more in-depth articles. So that's the best way to recover from a Panda hit. Then it starts talking about the Penguin algorithm, the fact that it was rolled out on the 24th of April 2012, the fact that Penguin was all about unnatural links. Google penalized sites that were building links artificially or linking with poor quality websites, and then it talks about a recovery process from a Penguin hit, which is far more extensive than a Panda hit. Because in Penguin, you have to actually disavow all the links. You have to contact the webmasters, remove the links, and then use the Google disavow tool for any remaining links. And there is no set pattern for Google to index a site for a Penguin hit. You know, for Panda, we see that it's happening every month. For Penguin, it's very, very erratic. The last update took place in on the 4th of October 2013. Right? Again, links to very useful articles on these topics, so you can investigate these topics even more. But then it talks about Hummingbird, you know, and the fact that Hummingbird is totally different from Penguin or Panda, because as opposed to Penguin and Panda, there were simple updates to Google's algorithm. Hummingbird was a change of the entire system itself. It was a change of the entire indexing architecture for Google, because they want to give you more accurate results for your query. So as opposed to Penguin or Panda, that were more like tweaks in the algorithm, Hummingbird was an complete overhaul of the actual algorithm itself, so as to understand the user's queries better and give more relevant results to a visitor. So there's information about Hummingbird, how to recover from Hummingbird, and then you should also read some of the comments. There's some pretty interesting comments over here. But all in all, a great article. I think Marie did a fantastic job in summarizing all of these Google updates that have taken place and what to do if you've been impacted by any of these updates. And it's great to have all the information in one article itself. So if there's one article that you had to read about all the updates, it would essentially be this one, because it's very concise, it's got great information, and it explains everything in very, very simple terms. All right. So great, as if the whole business side of Google wasn't confusing enough, here's what Google's done. So Google's launched another tool for small business owners. So there's bad news and good news. The bad news is that, great, here's another product that you got to manage for your local business and for your clients. The good news is that it's a consolidated tool set, which means that you don't have to now worry about multiple things like Google Places for Business and Google Plus for Business and Google Plus Places for Business. They've made it really, really confusing. So the good news is that you now have one interface, which is called Google My Business, and that's where you can establish and control your clients' listings or your lists on Google. So this is sort of like a consolidated one interface that Google's now created for managing local listings for local accounts. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so this is the new Google My Business interface, and I'll get to the FAQs in a bit, but basically this is the new dashboard for managing your local listings for either yourself or your clients on Google. It connects search, connects maps, it connects Google Plus, everything's in one interface itself. All of the analytics, everything. So again, you know, they've set up a nice little microsite to describe what Google My Business is all about and the benefits. You know, you obviously show up right across Google, which means you'll be showing up on search, you'll be showing up on maps, you'll be showing up on Google Plus, no matter what device they're using. Give customers the right info at the right time, you know, whether they're driving to your business, hours of operation, phone numbers they can click to call, from their mobile phones. You want to start a conversation with your prospects. It helps you build a loyal fan base. They can actually put ratings, reviews, use the +1 button to endorse your content, and then reshare your Google Plus posts all across the web right in one place itself. Okay? Let's look at some of these tabs that they have, and then we'll actually go to the FAQ section as well. So what's so cool about Google My Business? Well, it's a one-stop shop. It's connecting all of your Google properties into one property itself for your business, showing up on the internet, getting onto Google Maps. Google Plus is connected, sharing of info is connected, and it's cross-browser and cross-device compatible. So it doesn't matter what device the user is actually using to access the information for your business, it's going to be showing up properly. Right? And then it actually goes on to explain each of these points a lot more in detail. You can update your information about your business just like you do in Google Places for Business right now, and you'll be found across all devices. There's a variety of different ways to connect with your customers. So Google suggests you start a conversation. So you can either use Google Plus to start a conversation or a Hangout. Bring your page to life, adding photos, videos that you can do with this interface. You can follow people through Google Plus because it's all linked in with Google My Business. You can respond to customer feedback. So there's surveys that you can get them to do. If there's any review that a customer has written in, Google My Business allows you to respond back to the customer and fix any issues that they have or thank them for their good feedback. And also you can utilize Hangouts to connect face-to-face with your clients, with your prospects, if you want to have a one-on-one engagement with them. Right? All the updates, so it's talking about your Google Plus page into your Google My Business, bringing it to life with some attractive imagery that you can post on. Find your people, follow your people, +1. Respond to customer feedback, as I mentioned, and then connect face-to-face with the Hangouts. As I mentioned, you can connect with your customers in that sense. It boasts about very easy management, so everything is all connected in one place, which is a big thing because Google is getting very complicated with a whole bunch of different local products, and now you have this one Google My Business that actually lets you edit your business info right in one interface, share updates with customers, get insights on how people are finding your business, analytics, all in one single dashboard itself, which is Google My Business. Check in on the go with the Google My Business app, so you can manage your business on your time. You can check customer insights, everything from your tablet or your phone, so it gives you that ability. Stay on top of your reviews, so you can look at your reviews. It can give you good statistics and insights on your visitors, what time of the day is most popular for your business, what are people looking at, what kind of information they're looking at. So there's a lot of insight over there as well. Let's look at some of the FAQs. And I think the question on everybody's mind right now that's on this webinar is, oh boy, do I have to actually manage another property or in addition to Google Places, Google Plus pages, et cetera, Well, the good news is that if you have a Google Places for Business or a Google Plus Pages dashboard to manage your business information, their account's automatically being upgraded to Google My Business. So when you log in, you'll see that it's a different interface, and it's already been upgraded to the Google My Business, which is what Google's going to be using going forward. So that's what's going to be Google Local, which is Google My Business. So you don't have to upgrade it because, again, that was another nightmare situation where you had to actually do it manually. You don't have to do it manually. Google's upgrading a lot of the accounts automatically. So how much does it cost? It's actually free, so there is no cost associated with it. Do I need a Google My Business if I already have a website? And then, of course, as we know, Google My Business complements your existing website by giving your business a public identity and a presence on Google. Right? It explains the sign-up procedure on Google My Business, how do you sign up for it. And it also explains to you if you have managed multiple business locations, how do you manage them. So you can utilize the bulk upload tool, go to Google My Business Locations to upload and edit your locations. And again, there's a Learn More resource here. So I just clicked on that link, and then you can see over here, gets you more information on bulk uploads for multiple locations, especially if your business is like a franchise that has a lot of locations and you need to manage all of them. So it gives you information how to do that. So again, as I mentioned, good and bad news, right? But I think all in all, for the future, it is good news, because this way now all of the local stuff is just consolidated into one interface itself, which is Google My Business. So no more headaches of managing 2 or 3 different kinds of Google local properties for the same business and dealing with all the duplicate issues. Just one interface, one property that you just have to take into account and manage. So from that perspective, it's definitely great. We keep updating you on this, and as a matter of fact, me and Armando were discussing probably doing a case study in Google My Business. So we'd actually log into the My Business account, the console, and then walk you through the interface in the back end of Google My Business, so everybody gets a better understanding of this. All right. Here's another interesting article that we wanted to showcase. It was posted on CIAinteractive.com. A great company and very innovative, very close to Moz.com. They actually did a very interesting thing. They did a CEO switch. So Rand Fishkin, that's the CEO of Moz, went to Sear, and he became a CEO of Sear Interactive for 1 month, and the CEO of Sear Interactive came to Moz, and he became the CEO and president of Moz for a month. And this was kind of like done in order to just have some cross-pollination of ideas, and also to try and see what sort of an impact, would there be a wrench in the system if you change CEOs, and how would the organization react to that? So it's a pretty interesting experiment, and you can read more about it on Moz's blog and CIAinteractive's blog if you're interested. But this particular article is all about creating a corporate blog, and we get a lot of questions from the ICs because they want to launch clients or some of the bigger accounts on corporate blogs. Yet they need a sense of direction on how to launch a blog on a corporate website, right? So there's a nice little checklist that Sierra has put together for us in order for the steps that we should be taking when we launching a corporate blog. I'll go through this really quick. So, one of the first things is to define your target audience, right? The second thing is to define the goal for your blog. So, the goals can be building your community, driving your referral traffic and sales, raising awareness, building an email list, or establishing thought leadership for your particular business entity, right? Sketch your timeline. So there's a lot of moving parts, again, to setting up a corporate blog. There's the whole creative side. There's the technical side, formats, discovery for the content, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to sketch a timeline for all of these moving parts so as to make sure that everything's in sync. Lay out your key contributors. Who's going to be the key contributors for your corporate blog? Pinpoint the tone. So what should the tone of the blog be like? Should it be more educational? Should it be more fun? Should it be more interactive? You have to identify that tone. Imagine the experience. So, just like a restaurant or a store, the author says when you walk in, you get sort of like a seamless experience, right? Like if the restaurant's set up in a, sort of like a very, spa-like theme. So you'll come in, you probably have like an artificial waterfall in there. The lighting is going to be dim. And then if you, on the other hand, go to a nightclub, it's going to be more classy, more sophisticated, more upscale, depending on which nightclub you go to, of course. But so imagine your experience for your corporate blog. So when people are logging onto your blog, what sort of an experience do you want to convey to them? And ideally, their experience should resonate with what they're already experiencing on your corporate website. Don't change it dramatically, right? Have the same sort of experience for them. Do a competitive analysis. So obviously understand what the landscape is like. What are some of your competitors doing? How they position their blogs, and how successful are they? So that you can basically take some learnings from their experiences and incorporate that in your blog strategy. Solidify a direction. Again, it's like identifying the main aspects of who you want to go after, what information you want to provide, when do you want to provide it, where can you join the community, and why are you different. So if the author calls it the 5 W's, that should help you solidify the direction for your blog. Create an editorial calendar. Very, very important, because you don't want to get messed up as far as like the whole blogging schedule is concerned. It has to tie in with the different marketing pieces that in your organization. So for example, if you're, let's say, a gift shop or a gift store, then you want to tie in your editorial calendar with some of the major holidays that come about, whether it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, etc. You want to make sure that your editorial calendar is in sync with some of the major promotions that you'll be utilizing. And then, last but not the least, you have to estimate stakeholder time investment and then create an editorial schedule. So, create, basically estimate the amount of time that's going to go into this blog, create the editorial schedule, and then plan for some returns, plan for some goals for the blog. What are some of the goals that you're expecting? So that's something that you also have to kind of take into account. Right, so yep, just to summarize, I think it's a great little checklist. A lot of the times, a lot of ICs run into challenges where the clients do want to launch blogs, but they want a full sort of a defined strategy. So here's a nice little consulting. It's like you can put together a little consulting package when a client wants to launch a blog, and this can kind of be like your framework for that consulting opportunity for that client. The links in our presentation decks, your interactive.com blog, so you can always refer to it at a later date if you want to get some more information. Okay, so this is a very, very cool article on searchenginejournal.com, what makes $1 million e-commerce business. And again, all of us over here are business owners, and through a franchise, independently, etc., and we want to make sure that the valuation of our business is always increasing, so that if ever we want to exit, we have a nice little exit strategy in place, right? So, I mean, that's our goal. We want to make sure that the valuation of our business is always increasing. So, from that perspective, for everybody that's interested in how valuation works, how is your business evaluated, this is a very, very interesting article. So, let's take a quick read for this article. So, basically, this article talks about, what makes $1 million e-commerce business. So the first factor in defining how much your business is valued at is profit. So let's say if your website is making a profit or your business is making, and a lot of the concepts that he's talking about in the e-commerce business are also true, not just for an e-commerce business, but also just for a business in general, right? So if your business is making between, let's say, $300,000 and $500,000 in net profit, then your business is definitely over $1 million, because a buyer is going to be paying 2 to 3 times your earnings. So if your business is between $300,000 and $500,000 in net profit, it's going to be valued over $1 million. So that's your first benchmark that you have. Some of the factors that brokers are looking at to determine what sort of a multiple is paid. So whether you pay times 2, whether you pay times 3, depends on a lot of factors. And these factors include the profitability that we just talked about, your growth model. So they're going to be looking at how your business has been growing. Is it stable? Is it growing? Is it declining? So they're going to be looking at that, and then essentially giving you a price for your business if you want to sell your business. There's also another aspect that they look at, which is it's sort of like a table selection, right? And the author says the table selection is more like a poker term, refers to choosing which table you want to play at. But it's basically, it's like, if you're in a high growth e-commerce vertical, if you're in a high margin e-commerce vertical, you're in a market that's highly tough to get into, then all of these are price determining factors, right? So all of these determine a higher price for your e-commerce business, right? The age of the business, so how, the longer the age, the higher the age, the better the probability of you getting a good price for your business. Defensibility, how easy are the entry to barriers to entry? Are they high? Are they low? If they're low, you're not going to get as high a price. If they're high, then you're definitely going to get a higher price. Drop ship versus warehouse. People always prefer a warehouse-based business because, again, it's a higher sort of like a barrier to entry as opposed to drop ship that anybody can pretty much set up in terms of an e-commerce store. So if you're actually a warehouse-based e-commerce store, then you'll come on to higher valuation than whether you're just a drop ship, right? Again, the other option is do you rely solely on paid traffic, or do you rely solely on organic traffic for your earnings, for your revenue? It's not good either to rely on paid or organic. You should be having a balanced strategy overall, because again, it's like, you can use the analogy of a table, right? If you put too much pressure on one leg of the table, it's gonna break. So Buyers, again, are looking at a business that's getting traffic all across the board, not just one particular source. Like if you're getting 90% of your traffic from organic and that's what's bringing in your revenue, your business is very vulnerable. Because, I mean, if Google changes the algorithm or if something happens and you lose your rankings, your revenue potential is lost. So buyers look at that and they don't want to have that sort of a risk they're running. So it's better to have revenue coming in from multiple sources. This is very important, for the ICs, and we keep stressing the ICs when we have one-on-one conversations with them, which is to not rely on revenue sources coming in just from new sales. There's 3 main sources of revenue that should be coming in every single month when you're dealing with your customers and your client base. You should be getting new sales, you should be getting referrals, and you should be getting upsells and renewals. So these are the 3 main revenue sources in your business that should be active at all times. You should be getting new business at all times. You should be getting referrals at all times for your existing clients for the work that you're doing. And the last but not the least, you should be renewing. So your renewals should be strong. And you should always be upselling your customers on what the next best thing is for their business in order to help them do even better than how they're doing. So you should have these 3 revenue sources always pumping revenue for you every month. Looking at your systems, so if what kind of systems have you set up, the more automation, the higher value your business is going to command. The more manual, the lesser the valuation, right? People don't like manual businesses. They prefer automation. Clean books is one of the most major things. I mean, if you don't have clean books, it's a mess, and a buyer's not going to like that. So definitely have your books in order. Have clean books for your business, for your e-commerce business at all times, so that this way the financials are all clearly visible to the potential buyer. What platforms do you use? Not a major evaluation factor in terms of determining a value for your business, but it is still there. I mean, if you're using a proprietary, highly tough to customize e-commerce system, then again, your valuation is going to be low. But if you're using something like a Magento or a Shopify, it's going to be a lot better, right? So this was a really interesting piece that we wanted to share with you in terms of evaluating your e-commerce business. Hopefully you found some good information on that. Great. So I'm now going to pass the mic over to Armando, and he's got a very interesting article on Google+, and then he's, of course, got that exciting case study lined up, the responsive web design that he's going to talk about in a bit. Over to you, Armando.
Yeah, thanks, Anish. Actually, the e-commerce article that you spoke, you talked about is very important. I've had a few ICs that their clients have asked them, I run a business, how do I evaluate it? So you may drop by a client that is trying to value their business or is trying to perhaps even sell it. So this is a good article for someone, you can actually take some notes and create a bit of a process, a consultancy questions on that one. So that's a good one. So thanks, Finish, on that one, because I've had some ICs connect with me saying, do you have a checklist of things that we should be doing or evaluating in e-commerce business? So it's a good article. So yeah, thanks. So moving on in regards to this, I found this very interesting article on QuickSprout. And you know that we always talk about Neil Patel and QuickSprout in our webinars. But one of the reasons I really like this article is because, with the with ASEO and even with traditional SEO practices, at ALM we've been preaching and speaking with the ICs all the time to make sure that their clients are actively in Google+. And this is a great article. If you Vinish, if you can just click on the Google Plus link at the top. It's a great infographic if you have a client, because it seems that obviously as the ICs, you kind of want to that this is correct, that you should be doing this, but your client may not be so open to it. They may not get it. They need to be educated. So they did a great job here for your PowerPoint presentations. They did a great job with a nice infographic. So Google Plus is nothing new to the WSI network, but Neil Patel talks a little bit about the 3 different aspects that you should be looking at that are important. If you just click on that image, that'd be great. Yeah, well, this is a great infographic if you're looking at doing a presentation. He talks about how to use Google for marketing. He talks about why the use of Google. So a lot of people don't get it yet that, they may be preferring Facebook and Twitter, and they don't get what Google Plus is all about. So he talks a little bit about the fact that, 50% of Google Plus users sign on daily, 250 million users. They have a 33% growth rate per year. It connects them with Gmail and so on. So he talks about using Google Plus as an area where you can have authorship, where you can create communities, interact with your clients. Vinish talked a little bit about now, specifically with the launch of Google My Business, how do you connect everything, and how do you, in this case, share content, and how do you reach out to your clients just with one platform, which we'll be discussing in the next few weeks. But again, I thought I shared this infographic. I thought it was really very neat, specifically for your presentations as you go out there and meet with prospects. Let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation, because you'll be able to see that anyways. So why is Google Plus an excellent way of marketing, specifically from a social media perspective? Authorship, we've been talking about Google authorship as an important thing to give your posts authority on Google or on the net. Relationship marketing, it's not just about posting any type of, whether it be a blog or a PR piece or a picture on your Google Plus business page. It's also about using the other elements like Google Hangouts and starting to develop a conversation, communicating directly, engaging with your customers. And again, this doesn't have to be done every day. This could be a one-time campaign that you do with your clients. You find the results and you see how that works. But the other thing is, Google Plus can drive traffic to it. To your website, and it can also drive traffic to your business, right? And from our experience, I know that some ICs are kind of working with their clients, and they do the postings, and they tell me, well, look, they're getting 1,000 views or 2,000 views overall. But the key to success is really increasing your Google Plus followers. Okay, so have a strategy in place with the website owner, your client, about how can you increase your Google Plus followers. Very crucial. And also, how do you increase your Google Plus votes? So what QuickSprout did was they did a case study, and they actually did a whole research on it. And basically, they've noticed that one of the sites that they were working with, once they got 100 Google Plus followers to their Google Plus business page, their rankings increased by pretty much 15%, right? So it wasn't until they actually reached that threshold of 100 Google Plus followers that were active, they actually reached 15%. And then another site received an increase of 9.44%, so pretty much 10% traffic and increase in rankings by having over 300 plus votes. So again, these two key things are very important. It's not just about doing posts, but it's also about engaging and asking for more followers, asking for more votes, requesting people to put their reviews on Google Plus, and you'll see that your website will start also generating some results from these social media signals. Okay, so interesting article for those individuals for those ICs right now that want to really focus on using social media as an aspect of the ASEO strategy. Have a read, but also great infographics. Okay, so not sure if you want to add one or two thoughts, Vinish, on this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, and when you started off, Armando, Google Plus is becoming very important, especially for organic rankings in Google as well, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's Google's social media platform, so they want to give that platform the most amount of importance as opposed to Facebook or Twitter. That is not a Google property. And with Adaptive SEO that Home Office has launched, that we are promoting with the ICs, this is something that is covered. So there is a social aspect in the SEO packages, and it's all about, again, putting your visibility out there. So it kind of logically also makes sense for you to focus on Google Plus as a marketing platform, because it is Google's property, and that's what Google wants to push as much as they can. So Google Plus has to be looked at kind of like more importantly as Facebook or Twitter in terms of a social media property where you want to really promote your interests there.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. Okay, so let's move on to the case study then. If we don't just quickly go through this.
Yep.
Okay. So as Vinish mentioned, we wanted to touch base on a new responsive web design web project that we worked with in IC, and this is for 3Wire. It's a firm based in Minneapolis. What they do is they're a marketing company. They actually provide different marketing solutions to companies that want to do clinical testing and research, etc. And we just recently launched this website. So if you just go back to the PowerPoint presentation, I just want to kind of share a screen of what it looked like. On the right-hand side, this is what the site looked like when they, it was an HTML site. I think they did have a bit of some parts of the website were Joomla based, but it wasn't. It was a bit of a stale site. It needed a bit of a refresher. So the project scope for this one was, the client wanted to add some new features, and I'm going to go through it with Vinish quickly, and functionality. But the key thing was responsive web design. They had some online forms that needed to be customized. That they had a very specific case study gallery that we had to use an actual photo gallery plugin to accommodate the requirements of the client. They wanted to display their case studies in a specific way, and we actually worked with a company's creative designer. So they had a creative designer that created the mock-ups for us. And we took those mock-ups, and then we took them through the process of converting the design into RWD and implementing WordPress CMS into the site. Okay, so some of the lessons learned, very important when working for all the ICs out there. When you have a client that they'll tell you, well, I'm going to have my own designer. All I need you is to put the technology into my website. Very important that you finalize the requirements at the time of design sign-off. So as you are working with the designer, because a designer, they'll be very creative, and they'll start adding features that perhaps may be out of scope in your initial contract with the end client. You have to make sure that you keep them in check. So make sure that you finalize all the requirements at the time of design sign-off, so you are aware of everything that needs to happen and all the features that need to be added on the site. Okay, the IC did a very good job in this case, an excellent job, because he basically gave us PDF mock-ups. Went through a process of consulting with us and consulting with designers at the same time to make sure that there were features that could be done, how it would be done. So he covered himself very well in the sense that he had all the requirements up to par even before we, the production center, who was going to deploy it or implement the technology, had all the requirements ahead of time. They provided the PSD files, and I'm going to share that this project had very different inner pages. Typically, for a website, you'll have a homepage design and maybe one or two inner page designs. In this case, there were a few different layouts that needed to be done, and the beautiful thing is that the client, the IC, worked with us ahead of time to make sure that we had the PSD files, so that was good. He kept the designer on check. You want to make sure. We've had situations where the designer will go out there and you tell them to design something, they'll design something, but it's totally out of scope. Features, small features that they may think it's nice to have, can turn to be customized work. The other key thing that you have to specify to your clients when you're working with an RW project is that it takes a little bit more time than your standard website project, and the reason is because there are two checkpoints where the RWD process takes place. Once this design sign-off is completed, at least at ALM, this is the process that we follow. We actually convert the design files into RWD. Okay, and then the web team, the programming team, the hardcore programming team that's going to implement the CMS, they start working now on the WordPress, or typically WordPress or Joomla, and they start working in it. The second aspect of this is at the end of the project, because there's so many plugins or features and functionality that are added to the site, there's a bit of a cleanup, because what you initially started with in your responsive design may not look at the end what you actually want. So it's very important to have very good guidance from your designer to make sure that you have the mock-ups of the mobile and the tablet, so we can kind of work together and try to get it as much as possible to look like his concept. So Vinesh, if you can just go to the site now,
Yep.
very quickly we'll go through some of the features. It may look like a very standard website. They're still working on a little bit of the content. Now they're going to be working on the SEO. If you go to the CROs section, for example, you'll notice that the website, and I should have actually shown a bit of a mobile version, but you can actually see this. And we just launched this site, so still right now pretty new. Launch, but in the CRO section you'll see that there's a gallery. Oh, yep. If you go down to case studies on the left hand side, yeah, case studies there, yeah, on the left hand side, yeah, you'll see case studies. So we had to add an actual photo gallery plugin to make sure that when you hover over it or you click on the image, if you don't mind just clicking on one image, the client didn't want to give the user the ability to download the actual case study. They just wanted to give a snapshot of it. So we had to use a specific photo gallery to match this look that they wanted. I think it's your internet connection. It's a little bit slow, but it was running very fast on mine. So that's one thing. Okay, so this one, for example, had two pages. So we had to create 2 images for this slide. Now, can you go up to the top, please, Vinesh, or just close this? Perfect. And go to About Us, our careers. Little things that the client wanted. For example, they wanted to have a specific way of the FAQ using accordion, displaying an accordion. Oh, it's taking a little while here.
Yeah, I think it's the go-to meetings kind of overloaded right now.
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, and if you click on the little project manager there, I mean, these are little features the client definitely wanted, and then he wanted things to click back onto place. So, and then the other thing that I kind of wanted to show, if you go to the top, hopefully I have running out of time here. I know you have to do your, go to patients. On the orange on the right hand side. No, just get out of it. Yeah, patients. This one was interesting because what they wanted to do was they wanted to have a form where people could leave their information, but it was such a long form on their previous site that they were having a huge drop-off. It was just a one-pager. So what the client envisioned was having 4 pages with at each stage filling out all the information and capturing the information in their database. So basically, you scroll down a little bit there, you'll notice we won't go through it, but yeah, patient registration, great. And as you can see, the layout, the design does change a little bit from section to section. So these are the things that the client kind of wanted for this custom project, and I think it's loading. Here we go. Yeah, if you scroll down. If you notice, there's 4 areas here. So they had about, I think it was about 20 questions, 25 questions, and they didn't want to put it in one page. So what ends up happening is we have to create a feature that as the person progressed through step 1, 2, 3, 4, we will be able to capture that information. So if a person drops off at step number 2, we still will have step number 1 completed. So these were one of the requirements that the client wanted, and also to be responsive. So it was quite a bit of a challenge, because some of their clients may be doing this on a tablet or a mobile version of the site. So we were able to do that. So anyways, this is 3Wire. It's a responsive web design. Those are the things that we kind of learned from this project. If anybody has any questions, specifically you're working with a third-party designer, let us know and we can assist you with that as well.
Awesome, great. Thanks, Armando. We don't have a lot of time. We have some questions that we need to address as well. So I'm going to really run through the tool of the week really quick and maybe do a more sort of a detailed demo next week. So think that Google is a really cool, sort of like a microsite that Google's created for all of the products in the advertising platforms, plus a lot of the tools that they provide us for data sets, data analysis. So the first part of Think with Google is all about all the different products that Google has so as to help you promote your clients' services. There's search ads, which is PPC. There's mobile ads. You can do YouTube ads, the Google Display Network, Google Plus for your brands. They have a double-click digital marketing platform that's for media buying. There's Google Analytics, and then there's Google Consumer Surveys. So you can actually create a survey right from Google's interface itself. They charge you 10 cents for every completed survey. And what the good thing is that if you're running a paid advertising campaign, they'd actually integrate a Google Consumer Surveys link right into your PPC ad so people can actually see, visitors can see what other people are talking about as far as your product is concerned. So these are some of the products that they have. And then some of the planning tools that they have are like really phenomenal. And Google's done a great job of, again, consolidating all of these tools in this one interface of Think with Google and giving us a lot of information here. Again, I don't have time to go through each of these individually, but we'll do another detailed review next week. There's Google Trends, so you can actually look at what people are searching for. There's brand impressions, so you can actually type in a particular brand name and then see how their impressions are doing all across the internet and the information that Google pulls for them. Again, great stats for like a sort of a slide deck or a presentation that you're preparing for. YouTube dashboard, again, you can actually look at citywide data, citywide stats, and what videos are popular, what's trending. Display benchmarks tool is phenomenal because it actually allows you to benchmark and see what the industry rates, the industry click-through rates are for the different banner sizes. So this is a really cool tool to really look at and see how your campaigns are doing when it comes to the industry benchmarks. The customer journey to an online purchase is a fantastic presentation on how there's different Google tools that help you through the whole cycle, which is, attention, awareness, interest, and buying, right? So the whole cycle, and it actually talks about the different stages and the different products that you can utilize at different stages. There's data board for research insights, a great place to get some good information on different stats. This is something that is really cool, the full value for mobile calculator. And again, we'll do a more detailed review of each of these tools in our next webinar. But the full value for mobile calculator actually shows you the value of your website as related to mobile and why you should be investing in mobile. So this is a really, really cool tool set if you want to have your clients invest in a responsive web design or a separate mobile website, depending on what's more applicable. This mobile calculator actually shows your client the value of all that traffic that they're getting right now. So really, really cool tool set. Again, we didn't have a lot of time to go through this in detail, but we definitely will next week. We'll pick this up, and let's head over to some questions right now. I do see some very interesting questions, so let's take some questions here now. So Mark has a question on the Google Business. Can we change our current Google Local over to Google Business version, or is it automatically changed over? So Google claims that it's being done automatically, Mark. Since it's a new launch, there might be some glitches, but it should be done automatically. Paul has another question related to Google My Business. If we have a Google Plus local set up and a Google Plus social media page, what do we have to do? Again, Paul, according to Google, everything should be merged into Google My Business. So you should be just getting one interface for Google My Business. Again, as I mentioned, there might be some glitches because it is a new product, and it should be automatically upgraded. So I wouldn't do any changes right now. Let's wait for Google to automatically upgrade it because that's what should be happening. Mark Patton has a question about Google My Business as well. When setting up a Google My Business where the business has 2 storefronts and takes phone orders from anywhere and anywhere, what version should be selected? A service area or 2 physical addresses? Well, in this instance, Mark, our advice would be to choose those 2 physical addresses because the service area automatically gets calculated based on those physical addresses. So it's good to show the customer or the visitor what the 2 physical addresses are. So I'd go with the 2 physical addresses in this case. Bob has a question. Missed the first part of today's webinar. Please send me the link to the recorded version. We certainly will, Bob. It's going to be uploaded pretty much today. It's up the end of the day today on our YouTube channel, but we'll send you across the link. Good to see you here. Mark has a question on, is Google My Business a superset of Google Plus? It essentially is, because Google My Business is going to encompass Google Plus. Google Plus is going to be a part of My Business. Mark, is 3Wire a Genesis WordPress site? Armando, you can chip in. I don't believe it's a Genesis WordPress site, correct?
No, yeah, no, it's not a Genesis, it's just a standard WordPress site.
Yeah, it's a standard WordPress platform, Mark. Okay, Mark has another question. What's the difference now for Google Plus pages versus Google Plus Business? It seems like it's easy to get followers for the page, but not for the Google Plus Business. Can one convert or move followers to the Google Plus Business? So this is an interesting question, Mark. So everything as Mark Patton had just said, my business is a superset of Google Plus. So Google Plus Pages is now part of the Google My Business. It's inside that, it's built in already, and it's all within one interface itself. So My Business is that one interface that allows you to control all of the properties that are associated with that particular business in that My Business console, right? So they say that they're automatically upgrading all of the accounts to Google My Business. So if you do have followers to your Google Plus page, which is for your business right now, then they should automatically go into your Google My Business because everything's going to get consolidated. So that's ideally how everything should be working. Greg has a question on where's my responsive site. I guess we'll have to follow up with Greg on that, Armando. Yeah, let's just follow up with Greg on
well, we'll do that on the next we'll do that on the next case.
Oh, Greg wants us to showcase his site. Yeah, totally, Greg. We'll definitely showcase yours on the next webinar. That'd be terrific. Could 3Y be implemented on eFusion rather than WordPress? Mark has that question. I believe so it can, right? Because I think it's pretty customizable as far as the platforms are concerned. So we can definitely do that in eFusion as well, right, Armando?
Yeah, we've actually done that before. eFusion is very customizable. There are some challenges in some of the RWD components, but for the most part, it can be done.
Terrific, excellent. Great. I think that's all the questions we have. Once again, thanks so much, everybody, for making this a really engaging webinar. Thanks for participating. We love your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or just give us a call. This has been a terrific session. Once again, thank you for everybody's participation, and we look forward to seeing you on our next Tuesday's webinar. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks from myself and Armando. Take care.